New Sony Pony Splatoon volume. Doctor Who here, another reaction video. After the last reaction video of JJ Savage, I actually enjoyed it. You know, I actually scoured YouTube and looked for Foamstars videos to react to, you know, talking about the game. A lot of them are old when the game came out from famous people, and I'm not gonna react to those because I don't see the point. That's when the game came out. I only want to react to stuff that came out within under a month period, or since free to play, I should say, for right now. And there's nothing much to go off because the game is dead. Nobody makes videos on the game, and it doesn't have a viewer base or anything, so those type of videos, people making those videos, is not a reality. But I did, for some reason, I found the JJ Savage one, and I found this one. This one's from GamingHearts1. He's not a Foamstars content creator, YouTuber, or Twitch streamer like JJ Savage was. He basically he's a smaller YouTuber. He covers random games, I guess, so he has nothing to do with Foamstars. So this is basically the type of video that I want to cover, because the last reaction was a guy who lives in a bubble and thinks it's amazing. This guy will have a better open mind to it, so let's get right into it.
I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of Foamstars, a game that came out earlier this year, back in February. It's an online multiplayer shooter game, and there was a lot of hype, you know, for this game prior to when it was released. And honestly, ever since its release, it's a game that's gotten panned by a lot of critics. I think the last time I checked Metacritic, it got somewhere around like 57 or 58 in terms of a Metascore. And honestly, that's terrible, because this game got rated lower than Forspoken, which came out back in 2023. And even though, you know, it's a different genre in relation to gaming, it's also a game that's that was published by Square Enix that did really bad as well. But the interesting thing about that is that the user score for Foamstars is higher than that of Forspoken. And I feel like Foamstars is a game that Square Enix made to try and, I guess...
Let me just cut there. What he's saying is true. You know, a lot of what he's saying is true. I just want to say, GamingHearts1, if you come across this video, I'm not trying to steal your content at all. I appreciate your content. I'm actually going to put your, you know, your name, link, whatever, in the description. So it shows I'm not stealing your content. I'm not stealing your content. If you're wondering why I'm reacting to your video, is I have a volume series. It's called the Sony Pony Splatoon. It's basically me preaching a cause and fighting a cause against the Foamstars community. I basically preach the truth about this game dying and it being doomed, and I piss all over the game, and I trash the game, and I bring the fight to the community, and you know, and I do it for Splatoon, you know, because Splatoon, I do it for all the Octolings and the Inklings living in luxury, and I fight this fight and I preach all this so that they don't have to. So basically, yeah, it's a cause, and it's a volume series that I do on my YouTube channel. And yeah, and I play games, I play matches, you know, I in this game, and I piss all over it, and I preach, and I rant, and I do all this. And well, this volume, which is, if you're watching this, you're in it, this is just me reacting to your video to further the plot along of what I'm preaching. So shout out to you and respect to you making this video, and I hope this video does well for you.
Deviate from the norm in terms of appealing to casuals because, for the most part, Square Enix is about making RPGs, and that's been their thing. And
that's true.
Honestly, they haven't been having a lot of luck lately with their video games, whether it be RPG.
He's right. They haven't had luck with their video games. The Final Fantasy Rebirth was a flop. All the PlayStation issues, and this is a PlayStation exclusive, and all their PlayStation exclusives are locked to PlayStation, and they're bleeding money because of it. You know, it should be released on Xbox, and some are on Switch. You know, like the smaller games. Well, not really the smaller games, but the smaller, you know, like old school, the retro HD fucking, you know, pixel remasters and 2D HD, 2.5 HD RPGs and stuff are on Switch. So most of their big titles are on PlayStation, so them having an issue with PlayStation is a thing that's been going on for the past 2 years. And it's not good for any Square Enix game. And Square Enix is cutting down, and they're shutting down developmental teams, and they're shifting, and they're moving stuff to Xbox and Switch, more stuff to Xbox and Switch in the coming years. And yeah, Square Enix is not in a good state of mind. And honestly, this game will be shut down at some point because they're going to realize, oh, what's bleeding us money? We need to cut back and make cuts to, you know, save some money, and this is going to be one of the games to be axed, which I've said in the previous volume.
Or anything else, because their games have been flopping. Foamstars, Forspoken, you know, Final Fantasy 16. You know, these games have been flopping. I will say, I don't even play the new Final Fantasy games. For me, Final Fantasy stops at 10. I'm more old school. When it comes to Square games, I'm more old school. You know, 10, Kingdom Hearts 2 and Final Fantasy 10 is where it ends for me. Unless it's like a 2D style RPG, like Triangle Strategy or, you know, Octopath Traveler or something like that, or the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, stuff like that I enjoy. But like modern Square Enix is just not in a good state. The fact that they have to go old school to make a good game like Octopath Traveler is saying a lot. I really say that Final Fantasy 16 was a flop. It's just that it didn't meet Square Enix's sales expectations, and neither did Foamstars. And
well, Final Fantasy 16 didn't meet Square's sales expectations is because it's on a PlayStation exclusive, and it's only on PlayStation 5. It's not available on PlayStation 4, and most of the player base is on PS4. As far as Foamstars goes, I've said this many times. Nobody bought the damn thing. They knew it was going to flop, is why it was free on PlayStation Plus, and nobody continued to buy the damn thing. It lost 95% of the player base after month 1, and nobody bought the damn thing, so they gave it away for free to save it. But unfortunately, it's going to be too late. You know? And let me just say, Splatoon 3, 15 million copies sold physical, not counting digital. There's probably another 15 million for digital. And there's millions who play it. And you put Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 together, how many active people play it? Foamstars is... Foamstars is Foamstars. It's like a little... It's like Splatoon is like a bear, and it's like Foamstars is like a frog. That's the difference.
Honestly, like, you look at this game, I feel like the aesthetics are better than what you would see in the average, like, video game that would come out, you know, in this day and age, in the sense where like, the aesthetics is something that would appeal to casuals. It would, like, instantly catch their attention. But I feel like...
Let me just say this. GamingHearts1, if you actually see this video and you actually watch the damn thing and you made it this far, let me just tell you what this community is. There's people playing this who think it's going to thrive. They think it's going to go places. They think it's going to shoot for the fucking moon. They dream of having all this content stuff. And let I remind you, the content is on a drip feed. Like, it's Nintendo Switch Online, like releasing a game. It's a drip feed. There's been a roadmap since day one for an entire year to space it out, just to make sure that they'd make it a year. So they've drip feed content slowly by slowly each month, which means all the content was made before it launched. They don't make new content. They take existing maps from other modes and they slap them in the main mode, smash the star, and they act like there's new maps in there. Like, and all these people, they want online hubs and all this shit. They want so much, but these people don't realize that that this game needs to make a profit for them to spend money and use resources and get game developers to make content. But why would they make expansions? Why would they make expansions for world hubs and sell it for $30 when there's not even 300 people that play this game? Why would they do that and sell it for $30 when only 20 people are going to buy the $30 expansion? They've spent $250,000 making an online hub so that 20 people can buy it for $30 and go around exploring that. These people on Foamstars live in a fucking bubble. When I mean they live in a bubble, they live in a fucking bubble. These people take this like it's serious. They sit here and there's no views on Twitch. There's barely anyone streaming. And these people, they think they're Foamstars pros. They think that they're pros. They think they're Ninja. They think they're Dr. Disrespect. They think they're Tim the Tatman. They think they're in FaZe. They think they're in Optic. They think they're fucking Nick A30 or fucking whoever. They think they're somebody's, but they're not. They brag about winning on Foamstars and having a stacked team, and it's like all these people taking this game serious. It's pathetic and sad because they're on a non-relevant game. They can't do it on fucking Call of Duty and Apex and Valorant, but they love being big fish in small ponds. And it's hilarious to me, which is why I preach this cause. Because I dominate too. And I don't even have a team. And I'm pissing on the game. It's funny because anybody can just be good at this and dominate, and you could pretend you're a fucking pro. In reality, you're not. You don't have 1,000 people watching. You have 8 people watching. That's not a pro. Oh, you're affiliate on Twitch? All you have to do is get 3 friends to watch you for 3 weeks straight. You're already affiliate. You get your hand held to affiliate. These people actually think they're pros. You don't realize, GamingHearts1. You don't realize how sad and depressing this really is. I know you make your video and you're stating some facts here from what I've listened to already in 2 minutes, but it's more deeper and ridiculous and sad and pathetic than you truly believe it is, because behind the failure of what the game is, there's a community of entitled little spoiled brats who think they're somebody, and in reality they're not, and they live in a bubble, fucking doing drugs, thinking this game's gonna be bigger than what Splatoon is, if that. And it's sad and it's depressing, and I wish that you truly knew, GamingHearts1, everything involved in the whole situation other than looking at stats of a player base. Like, it's a lot crazier and ridiculous than you think. But so far, I've enjoyed your video.
I don't know. I feel like Foamstars is kind of like Splatoon for adults, but not as, appealing for the most part. And I'm not exactly sure.
You're right about that.
This game is supposed to.
It's like the Warzone to Fortnite. It's like a battle royale for adults, or the Apex to Fortnite. It's presented more competitively and for adults, but believe me, Splatoon is competitive. It has competitive modes. There's ranked in Splatoon. There's tournaments with actual money on the line and broadcasts. Like, it's taken serious. Like, it has serious fanfare. I mean, 15 million copies sold. Foamstars can't even generate 300 player base on a good day.
appeal to, or what audience this game is supposed to appeal to, because I know it has a T rating, but the thing is, you have a lot of teenagers who are more interested in, rated M games that involves, blood, violence, gore, profanity, stuff like that.
Absolutely right.
And I don't know, having a game like this.
And as far as a free-to-play goes for a teen, they'd rather play Fortnite or Warzone.
On the PlayStation 5 and as a PS5 exclusive is something that didn't necessarily do it.
It's also on PS4, so you got to realize the player base is split between the PS5 and the PS4, and it's still very, 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 very low. It's embarrassing.
Any favors for the most part, because you limit a game like this to a particular console, then you're not gonna have as much sales, and you're probably going to alienate yourself from a group of casual gamers who prefer something on other platforms, whether it be on PC or Xbox or what have you. And I feel that for the most part, like, Square Enix has been in big trouble for quite some time.
See, I like this guy. This guy has it right to the nail. He's looking beyond the game. He's not only looking beyond the game, but he's looking at the actual company itself and the struggles that Square Enix has been through picking these PlayStation exclusives. Because at the end of the day, the reason Foamstars flopped is two reasons. It's a Splatoon clone, and because Square Enix is behind it. And they poorly marketed it, and it has the Square Enix problem. And because it's a PlayStation exclusive, this could have been free to play on every platform, and it probably would have done decent. I don't think it would have been the Splatoon killer, but it would have been decent. But this GamingHearts1 guy, he's got it right on the money. It's not even a game issue. It's the company issue. It's that PlayStation exclusive deal issue. That's the real origin of why it flopped. It's not the reason which led to the flop, but it's the origin of why, on that scale, it's a flop.
Because it seems like their games are not clicking. And I think back in 2022, they had one of the worst games of the year, and I'm talking about Babylon's Fall. It's a game that a lot of people want to pretend never happened. And to be fair, like, 2022 wasn't really a great year for gaming in terms of high-profile releases, at least not to the same extent as 2023 was, because 2023 was nothing but, like, good games and all that stuff. And the thing is, like, you look at, like, how much money, like, Square Enix has lost within the past couple of years and how much debt they're in. I mean, it's just, like, it'll blow your mind, because, I mean, last time I checked, they were in, like, somewhere around the ballpark of, like, $1.9 billion in debt. And
see, that's a lot of money. I mean, they're a big Japanese company, game studio. I mean, that's a lot of money, but also it's like they can also afford to lose that, even though they can't afford to lose it. It's a hit for them, but it's not like going to shut them down hit and like get bought out by like Nintendo or PlayStation or Microsoft hit. I mean, they could sell it. Xbox at this point would buy it, but I mean, like, losing a couple billion for $1 billion company is a hit, but I mean, like, they'll survive. But like I said, they're going to make cuts. They're going to shut down. They're going to shut down games. They're going to, shut down games, cancel games, stop support on games. And Foamstars is at the bottom of those lists for all of them. It'll be the first one to get axed.
Oh, I read somewhere that they had lost almost $2 billion in value since Final Fantasy 16 was released this past summer, I believe. So it seems like, Square Enix is, like, in serious, serious trouble. And they haven't really put out any games that have been like, compelling or something that would capture the attention of casuals or something that people would truly be interested in quite some time, and that's not a good sign. And I hate to say it, but I feel like the Square Enix series is, or not the Square Enix, but the Final Fantasy series for the most part is past its prime, and that nobody really cares about it anymore. Because you look at like Final Fantasy during its golden days, like, you know, Final Fantasy like 7 up until like maybe 12, or maybe like, you know, 14 or whatever. Those were like among the best times for, like, you know, for Final Fantasy games in terms of like 3D installments. In terms of 2D installments, you know, you got to look at Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 from the SNES era. But like to this day, like Square Enix is doing everything they can to try and live off of, you know, Final Fantasy VII. They're making sequels to the original Final Fantasy VII game, you know, and honestly, I feel like their attempts to try and create, you know, new IPs and all that stuff have fallen flat. To be quite honest, it's really
Absolutely
difficult
right.
to create a new IP in this day and age that connects with
That is
casuals,
true.
because a lot
Very
of the big
true.
attractions in relation to video games are older IPs, because it's something.
And to go back to the Splatoon thing, which is what Foamstars is a clone of, a ripoff of, Splatoon at one point was a risk, a new IP, and it was a new IP on a failed Wii U console, which only sold 13 million units. At that time, it didn't even reach 13 million. It was probably only 10 million units at that time when it came out, but it was a risk, and Nintendo just completely let them make a new IP. And Splatoon was so fresh and diverse and interesting, it just shook everything up, and it became a success on a failed console. They followed it up with a sequel on the Switch, which was actually going very well for them when it came out. And Splatoon 2 blew up, and it was the most sold Splatoon game, I think. I think Splatoon 3 sold more now, as of right now, but you know, Splatoon turned into a huge franchise, which is what Foamstars is based off of. They took the inspiration, and they're trying to duplicate it. And didn't really work out for them. So making a new IP is very hard in today's day and age. And then, well, this is 2015, but still, Nintendo created a new IP and it worked out for them. But the problem with Foamstars is it's already been done. This type of game, it's Splatoon already. Nintendo already created it first. So, of course, this game is not only a new IP, but it's also copying Splatoon, which was a new IP. It's just a terrible situation for them. The roles were reversed, and Foamstars came out before Splatoon, and Splatoon never existed. I think Foamstars would have popped off even in today's day and age. I think today's day and age, this would have been something different and unique and interesting. But because it's Square Enix and all Square Enix's problems, it was poorly marketed, and it's a clone of Splatoon, and the struggles of a new IP, it's released in a rough state with rough marketing, and just all bad things happened, and it was doomed.
That people are more familiar with, and there's something that were created during a time period where gaming was more popular. Gaming is not as popular as it used to be for the most part, and I think that correlates hand in hand with how bad the economy is, the cost of living being too expensive, and people having you know, more things to worry about and all that other stuff. And to be honest with you, I have no idea, you know, what the future holds for Square Enix, whether or not we're going to get a Final Fantasy 17, or whether or not people care.
We probably are getting a Final Fantasy 17. I think it'll just be 8 years from now, a long time. And it will be on PS6, and it'll be on Xbox, whatever the next Xbox is, if there's another Xbox, and it'll be on PC as well, Steam and all that shit.
That matter. I think Foamstars was a game that that Square Enix made free to play not too long ago, and when it gets to that point where you have to take a game that people originally had to pay for free to play, not
only did they do that, sir, they They knew it was going to flop before it came out, so they put it they knew it wasn't going to sell. So they put it free on PlayStation Plus as one of the monthly games for the Essential tier. A lot of people downloaded it, but they didn't stick with it. It lost 95% of the player base when it went from month 1 to month 2. 95% of the player base stopped playing. When it came out, it had more people playing it than Helldivers 2. And it flopped, and nobody bought the damn thing. So they know the roadmap is coming to an end in a few months, and content's going to stop because they're not putting money into resources and development to make new content because they don't have the money, and they'd spend money and they wouldn't make it back. That they made it free to play to basically save as little as they can before it's too late. And for 3 weeks, it got a boost in a player base, but as of last week, it went right back to where it was in the beginning of September. So it's once again, it's in the same state it was. Free to play did not save it at all.
That's not a good sign. That tells me that, your game is something that people are not really interested in, and that
they aren't.
That they're desperate to, get more players.
They are very desperate to get more players because it's bleeding them money, and they're trying to get the most of it before it's too late. They spent a lot. They spent a couple $1 million making this, and they lost a couple $1 million on top of their $1 billion debt that you stated earlier. It's a lot. Another flop, another PlayStation exclusive, another failed game. It's rough. They tried to work the Splatoon magic, but they didn't have the Splatoon magic.
And I read somewhere that towards its launch, or initially after its launch, Foamstars lost 95% of its player base. And
there you go.
And despite how it looks, the game was considered to be a broken failure because there was so many issues and flaws with it, constant server crashes, horrible matchmaking.
You want to know a funny thing? The server crashes they stole from Splatoon 3. Oh shit.
The gameplay wasn't that great. And I mean, it wasn't great. It was really uninspired. I feel like if this was a game that didn't rely heavily on online gameplay and had more offline content, it probably would be more interesting. It probably would have gotten better reviews from critics. Who knows? But obviously, Foamstars is a game that I feel like it could have been much better than what it ended up being.
You're absolutely right.
But at the same time, I don't think it's going to go down as the worst video game of 2024 because...
That is true. That goes to Concord.
At this point, I feel like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is probably the #1 contender for that.
All right, that's the end of his video. Much respect to him. Mainly because he's not a Foamstars sheep like the rest of the idiots I deal with. He actually has an opinion outside of Foamstars. He doesn't live in the bubble like the rest of the Foamstars community. This guy just knows what he's talking about, looking past the game. And he's absolutely right, because it all goes back to that Square financial situation with the PlayStation exclusives and every game being a flop. Because that's what it comes down to. That's the origin of everything. But that's that. If you want to check out his channel, it's in the description. Gotta pay respect for him. He deserves it. And yeah. As far as the Foamstars community goes, TikTok, it's gonna come crashing down. And I'm gonna be there pissing all over it right until the death day, bitch. I have spoken.